Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a couple of projects. These are actually tag projects featuring some hot foil stamping on acetate. And I'll be using the brand new Pinkfresh Studio June 2021 release. This release is full of some amazing products, and there are some new hot foil plates. There are some stencil sets that coordinate with previous release stamp sets. There are some hot foil plates that coordinate with previously released stamps. There's some new stamps, some new stencils, and there are 3 new washi tapes, and I will give you a good look at those 3 washi tapes in a video tutorial tomorrow, so be sure to join me. I'm just going to show you some of these products here. I absolutely love the small butterflies set here. There is a hot foil plate along with a coordinating stamp, die, and stencil set. So these are available separately, so you can grab whichever ones float your boat. If you're not a hot foil stamper, then there is a one-piece stamp with the coordinating one-piece die, and then there is a stencil to color these in as well. Here's a look at some of the other hot foil plates that are released. These coordinate with previously released stamps and dies and that sort of thing, or stencil sets. And then there are 3 new washi tapes with the coordinating one-piece stamps and one-piece dies. Now, in addition to all of these stamps, washi tapes, dies, stencils, and hot foil plates, there are also 2 new embellishments. These are the gold metallic pearls and the silver metallic pearls, and I'll be using those in today's project as well. Now for today's project, I really wanted to use this brand new Butterflies hot foil plate, and it coordinates with the previously released Butterflies stamp, die, and stencil set. And if you will recall, back in April, I created some beautiful projects with these products. And I actually emailed Pinkfresh Studio and I was like, there needs to be a hot foil plate for this. And they told me to stay tuned. And guess what? All of my hot foil wishes came true. So I'm going to show you how to use these hot foil plates on acetate today. So I have a piece of acetate here. This is actually the Essentials by Ellen clear plastic. I absolutely love it. It comes with this tissue paper backer between each of the sheets to keep them from getting kind of marred in the shipping or storage process. And in order to do the hot foiling, I am going to bring in my Gemini foil press. I'm going to heat it up to the medium heat, and I'm going to place my hot foil plate with the back side of it touching that heated platform. Now I've cut my foil down to size. This is the champagne foil from Glimmer, the Spellbinders Glimmer line. And I have found that the Glimmer hot foils actually like a little more heat than the Gemini foil press foils. That's just what I've observed. So I'm laying that with the pretty side of the foil facing the hot foil plate. Then I laid my acetate sheet on top of that. And for a little bit of a shim, I'm just adding a piece of cardstock. And then I'm finally adding the plate that comes with the Gemini foil press on top of that sandwich. Now I've set my timer to 15 seconds, and once that timer runs out, I'm going to remove my platform from the base and I'm going to run it through my Gemini Junior. Now that heat and pressure is going to press the foil onto the acetate where the hot foil plate design is. And if you want more details on hot foiling on different materials, I will link a video up in the upper right hand corner right now and you can check that out. So now I've removed this from the platform, and look at that. I have a perfectly foiled butterfly image on this acetate sheet, and this would make an amazing shaker window for your card as well. Today I'm just going to die cut it and use it on a tag, but I think this would be really cool for a shaker window as well. Now I'm bringing in actually the kind of foam pad from my Misty just to give you a better look at that acetate once it's foiled. And then I am going to foil a couple more materials. So I've just left my hot foil plate on the platform and I'm going to add my foil on top again. And today I'm using some Hammer Mill cardstock. This was recommended to me by my friends Heather and Leah over at Pinkfresh Studio. They said it foils beautifully. This is the first time I'm using it, and what I've noticed is that this cardstock is super smooth, and it takes the foil like a dream. And it is not as heavy as the Nina Solar White heavyweight cardstock, but it's a good 100-pound cardstock, and I really like it. Now, I haven't experimented with stamping on this, but Leah and Heather use this for almost everything, and they've been pretty happy with it. So I did that on some white cardstock, and I'm also going to show you this foiling on vellum. Now, the foiling on vellum, once again, I like to use a cardstock shim to add a little more pressure to the sandwich. You'll notice that in the cardstock sandwich, or the foiling sandwich for the cardstock, I didn't use an additional piece of cardstock. I didn't feel like I needed it. But some of these thinner materials, they need a little extra pressure. So keep that in mind as you're experimenting. Sometimes it just needs a little extra pressure. And you can see I got a beautiful foil transfer on the vellum as well. Now, all of these are beautiful, beautiful foiled images, but I absolutely love the acetate. I am going to take each of these and I'm going to use the coordinating butterflies die to die cut each of these different materials. With the cardstock, I find that I do not need a shim. But for the vellum, and especially for the acetate, I really do find that I need a metal shim. And sometimes with the acetate, I need to run it through my die cut machine just a couple of times to get all the way through that acetate. Now, when you are using acetate for foiling, you kind of want to make sure that your acetate is going to hold up to the heat. This clear window plastic, or this clear plastic from the Essentials by Ellen line, doesn't actually state that it's heat resistant. And I have not experimented with kind of heat embossing on this, but I find that it holds up to foiling really nicely. There are some acetates on the market that are heat safe, and you can do some embossing on those. And I would assume that those would be great for foiling as well, but I haven't actually tried them. So sometimes you just need to experiment with what you may have in your stash. Sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't. I mean, to be honest, crafting is a lot of experimentation, right? I mean, sometimes we fail miserably and sometimes it's a hit. Now, I did want to mention when I ran this acetate through my die cut machine, I did use the tissue paper backer that comes on it to keep it from getting marred as it goes through the die cut machine. But I did it without the tissue paper later on for the small butterflies, and it seemed to work well. But I mean, look at how beautifully these foiled acetate butterflies turned out. I absolutely love them. And here's a look at all three of the different types of material that I used today: the white cardstock, the vellum, and the acetate. I kind of just wanted to side by side them for you. Now, I really wanted to add some dimension to this butterfly, and I want to be able to fold up the wings. So I'm just lining this up on my scoreboard and creating a score line, but I did it on the back side where the foiling was not, because I did not want to take the chance of marring my foil with my scoring tool. And once I've added those little score lines along either side of the butterfly body, I can kind of gently work the wings up so that they will have a little bit of dimension, and it will look like this butterfly is kind of flying off my tag. Now, I decided that in addition to these very large and beautiful butterflies, I also wanted to have some smaller acetate butterflies to add onto my projects as well. So I'm using the small butterflies hot foil plate, and I am doing the same sandwich that I did before, and I'm hot foiling these onto acetate. Now, just like the larger butterflies stamp, die, and stencil set, this small butterfly stamp, die, stencil, and hot foil plate are all one piece. So when you foil these, you foil all the butterflies at once. When you stamp them, you stamp all the butterflies at once. And when you die cut them, you die cut them all at once too. So that saves a ton of time, and you get a lot of these great little butterflies. And you're going to see me add them to today's project, as well as use them on tomorrow's project with some washi tape, some of those new washi tapes as well. So you can see, once again, I just added an extra cardstock shim to make sure that I got good transfer onto this acetate, and I have all these small, beautiful butterflies to add to my projects. There are 9 butterflies on the stamp, die, stencil set, and to be able to create all of these at one time is so genius. So while I'm die cutting these butterflies, let's just talk about my hands for just a second, because number one, I don't have a wedding ring on, and number two, I have a ton of band-aids on my hands. And I'm sure some of you are going to ask questions, so let's just clear it up. Number one, we just got back from Oahu, my husband and I. We went over there and we did some scuba diving while we were there. We are certified scuba divers. And while I was there scuba diving, I put on my wetsuit. And when I was putting on my wetsuit, I was gripping it and pulling it up. And I created tons of like horrible blister, rub off, scabs, open wounds on my hands. And I wish I had a better story, like I had done something really cool, but it was really just putting on a wetsuit. And the other part is we literally got back from Hawaii the day before I filmed this video. And I was so swollen that I didn't even want to put my wedding ring on because my hands felt like sausages. And so there is no like crazy stuff going on. My husband and I are fine. I just didn't put on my wedding ring today. And I wanted to cover up those horrible wounds so that you weren't looking at bloody scabs the entire time that I was creating. So as you saw there, I used some Pinkfresh Studio inks to blend onto a piece of cardstock, and then I covered it with some Tonic Moonstone Glimmer paste. It is like a glitter paste, and it is absolutely beautiful over these colors. I used the Candy Violet, the Coral Reef, and the Peach Fuzz to blend onto that piece of cardstock, and I think this might be my new favorite blending combo. It is so beautiful. Now that piece of cardstock, I actually set that aside to dry, and I'm going to die cut the smaller butterfly of these two butterflies from it in just a bit. And while I wait for that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and blend these same ink colors onto this white cardstock foiled butterfly. So I created this earlier when I was doing all of my foiling, and I wanted to layer this up with the acetate butterfly to create some color behind it. So you can see how beautifully this foiled cardstock butterfly takes the ink. The foil remains intact. There's no issues with the foil. It stays beautiful and vibrant, but I'm able to add that color over the top of it, and the foiling kind of resists the ink color. Now, because I'm going to layer this butterfly behind the acetate butterfly, I did not need the antenna on this butterfly, so I went ahead and snipped those off. And then I decided I wanted to add a little bit of glitter to the tips of these wings. Now, this is kind of hard to see in the completed project photos, but in real life, you get this glimpse of glitter behind that acetate, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm taking the same Tonic Moonstone Glimmer paste, and I'm using the coordinating butterfly stencils to add those just onto the tips of the wings. Now, I do want to say that this Moonstone Glimmer paste covers up the foiling. I mean, it doesn't cover it as in an opaque way, but it definitely loses that foil look to it. You can see the lines behind it, but the foil is kind of disguised, I guess, or masked a little bit. So keep that in mind. I didn't really mind because it added another element of like this glitter to this already beautiful foiled and ink blended butterfly. But if you didn't want to cover up the foiling, you could skip this step. Now, in order to add the acetate layer on top of the ink blended layer, I just added a little bit of liquid glue behind the edges of that foiling on the body, and I just adhered that down and allowed it to dry. And you can see all of the dimension that I get by folding up those acetate wings. It is truly magical in person because you have that beautiful foiling, you have the glitter from the side, all that beautiful ink blending, and those acetate wings are just stunning. I mean, I love them. Now you can see my piece of cardstock that I ink blended and added the glitter to dried. So I used the butterfly die to die cut the smaller butterfly from that ink blended and glittered cardstock. And then once again, I added that acetate butterfly piece on the top using a little bit of liquid glue. So for the base of my tag, I'm going to use this Sweet Blooms hot foil plate, and I'm going to create kind of a letterpress or a faux letterpress look. I'm not using any ink. It's kind of a blind deboss, but I've used some Nina cotton cardstock here, and I've placed that on top of the plate. There's no heat, there's no foil. I've just added it on top of the plate with the shim, ran that through my die cut machine, and you can see I have this beautiful debossed pattern onto my cardstock. Then I used the shaker tag die set from Pinkfresh Studio to die cut these tags, and I'm just adhering the butterflies onto these tags that have that beautiful vine kind of sweet blooms pattern debossed on them. It just gives it a little more oomph. It keeps these from feeling too plain. And I did layer up a second tag behind these debossed tags, and I die cut that using the Hero Arts Antique Ivory cardstock. Now, all of these smaller acetate butterflies, I am not adding any color behind them. I'm just using the little foiled acetate butterfly die cuts here, placing them onto the tag using some liquid glue. And then I ink blended some more cardstock using that candy violet, coral reef, and peach fuzz combination. And I white heat embossed some sentiments for these tags. And one I just attached on the top using the holes from the tags, and the other I actually attached onto the tag using a little bit of foam adhesive. And to finish these tags off, I added some of the brand new gold metallic pearls from Pinkfresh Studio. I absolutely love the way that these tags turned out, and I think it would be so much fun to take a bunch of these layered up gold foil acetate butterflies and create a garland from them, or a mobile. It would be so beautiful to see them kind of fluttering through the air. And I thought these tags would add a great special finishing touch to a plain gift bag or gift box as well. I think they are so beautiful. And keep in mind, you could put this butterfly onto a card front as well. I just kind of was in the mood to do something a little bit different today. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked in the YouTube description as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as some information on a giveaway. This video is a part of a blog hop celebrating the Pinkfresh June 2021 release. And I'm going to tell you, you better snag these butterflies quick because I have a feeling they're going to sell out. As always, I want to thank you for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you were inspired. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you won't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. Drop me a comment below and let me know how you would use these beautiful hot foil acetate butterflies. And if you love this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend as well. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.